Capricorns, welcome to your weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is going to be from March 28th through the 3rd of April, 2016. I'm Athen, and this is for Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the link down below because the signs are different. All right, so Capricorn, this week, still a very transformational time because of the eclipses of March, and we are finishing up a lot of this energy sort of this week and going into April, which is a much different type of a month. So still though, this week is about implementing a lot of these insights from the lunar eclipse from last week, which was in that 9th house of yours. So with Virgo, perhaps about how you can improve your life path, your life direction, how things are unfolding, in that big picture perspective, and what you can do to cultivate these things. The 9th house is all about what's possible in your life. And so there's been a lot of insights coming in about what you can change, what you can improve about your life path, your life direction, and maybe even your philosophy or your worldview as well. And it's all for you to really tap into that adventurous spirit, which is that 9th house as well. So with that lunar eclipse, it's a great week for working with it, implementing it, because we are in the 3rd quarter phase of applying those types of insights. Now this week we do have the sun still in that 3rd house of yours, so the attention I think is still on the immediate environment. Might have to do with expressing yourself, expressing your ideas, communicating. An excellent time to learn, read, write, all that kind of 3rd house stuff. Maybe even socialize a little bit. There's some good energy I think you can gain from those things in your life. Now Mercury is here, so you guys are probably thinking about these more mental or practical aspects of life, which can be great. There's a lot of transformation in this area this week, which I'll talk about. But it's a lot to learn nonetheless with that. And with Venus in the 3rd, I think you can enjoy, in fact, a lot of the, again, reading, writing, sharing, and perhaps light socializing as well. So that's going to be the backdrop now, specifically coming off of still March. We do have a couple aspects within 1 degree, which are finishing up this month. This is Jupiter squaring up to your ruler Saturn. So first of all, you guys are in a bit of a reflective time right now, which is good for about the next 5 months with your ruler retrograde. And this is reflecting on specifically what you've been focused on or building with your ideals, with your visions, with your hopes and dreams for the future, which has been really accentuated this past year. So what you can do now to modify that, how are things unfolding, and re-examine what you're building in this area of your life, and really re-examine yourself too, your self-image, your goals, just in general. And that's always a good idea with this. And this is specifically involving the fact that this whole life path is shifting for you to cultivate the deeper aspects of life. Really get into intimacy, deeper bonds, bring down those walls, those barriers, so that you can have those deeper connections, not just with relationships, but primarily with yourself. And really learn more about yourself in that deeper way with Jupiter retrograde. So that's the expansion, and I think it's a great area to focus on that type of stuff, such as intimacy, healthy codependency, having those deep connections with yourself and relationships. But Saturn is squaring up to it saying, but not without patience and not without hard work, right? And that's something that's natural for you anyways, which is like having your ruler squared up by a benefic Jupiter. So there is a good integration point here, and I think the more open you are to working on that disciplined, patient approach to those deeper matters of life, as well as having a bit of an optimistic approach to these ideals and visions right now, can help you ground this stuff continuing this week. Now, Chiron is still conjoining up to the South Node, so there is still healing taking place, as there has been, specifically here with your 3rd house of communication. So there might be some things changing with this. It's been an excellent time for you to change the way you see things, your insights, how you communicate. And all of that can be very healing this week. In particular, though, because Venus is going to go over this conjunction between the South Node and Chiron. So with this is particularly involving your 5th house of self-expression and your 10th house of career, since Venus rules those 2 areas. So it's a good week for examining those areas. How are you expressing yourself? Maybe healing some wounds around your self-expression, maybe in regards to your career or your legacy in life, and also where you can change those areas so that they're more balanced, right? Where there might be some over or under extremes with that, so you can bring harmony to those areas. So some good things to reflect on this early part of the week. This will be Tuesday and Wednesday with Venus. And then also at the same time, Mercury does square up to Pluto and trines up to your ruler Saturn. So you guys do, I think, have a good communication, a good flow there in a sense with this Mercury trining up to your ruler. this week, again, specifically with any ideas that you have or whatever it is you're focused on at the moment with these practical sort of ideas. And that can be very grounded with Saturn. But with Pluto, there's a lot of deep things, I think, still transforming with your deep psyche, as there has been over many years. There's this transformation, this releasing with, on a subconscious sort of level with the spiritual self, with the spiritual body. So the key with the 12th house is all about having acceptance about the life process. And through that acceptance, an immense power arises, which is Pluto. And that could be very well utilized with your communications this week. The more accepting you are in terms of how things are unfolding in your life, and perhaps how things are unfolding with your communications, or with your mind, or with your everyday practical things, can make this a very constructive aspect, especially with your ruler sextiling or trining up to it. Now, that's going to be the early part of the week. Now, around Thursday, Mercury does go over Uranus. So this has been an area of freedom for you. It's been important for you to find the peace of the communications and of the practical stuff and of the mind. In terms of accepting things and observing the mind and all of this, which has been Uranus transiting Pisces of the third. So it can be very freeing when you have this individuality about your ideas, when you have this freedom about it, where you're willing to see things in an unorthodox way, communicate things in an unorthodox way. All of this makes it very freeing for you. So with this, it can be applied practically because Mercury is going to be going over that Uranus this later part of the week, really accentuating the fact that there is a practical implementation. Maybe there are some things that you can change too with your routine or your health or your diet, so that area of your life, your everyday life, is more freeing, as well as your adventurous spirits. Could be a good later part of the week for tapping into that adventurous spirit of life, which can also be freeing as well. So that's it for the major aspects of the week, but I do want to mention the weekend because we don't have any major aspects going on over the weekend, but your the moon will be in your first house. So I think it's a good weekend for examining the self, maybe get your energy levels moving, getting things forward moving, your momentum and whatnot, which again is all contributing to this whole life path awareness, which is coming in from that eclipse last week. How are things unfolding? What is life about? What is the meaning of life? And perhaps more personally, how is your life unfolding? And what can you do to change your life so it's more in alignment with your purpose? All right, Capricorn, so have an excellent week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next week.